Well, welcome to our Brownlow edition of In the Pocket. That's right. This is where we give you a little bit of an insight into our thoughts in the 2025 Brownlow, and we have a look at some Palmer bet markets and some bets that we'd like to have. Spider Everett, there's none bigger and better in the game than you, big fella. You've watched it closely all year, mate. It's going to be a cracking count this year, and we've seen the betting markets fluctuate so much, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Injuries cost a lot of players, these days, and suspension plays a big role. Should a suspension now allow you still to win the Brownlow because you're still missing weeks? So we've seen over the last couple of years, Patrick Cripps win it twice, and then Lockie Neal, of course, in between those two wins. So it is going to be really interesting. When you start going through it, you got to start looking at the teams that won a lot of games because that's normally where the three goes to, and then see how many players can pick up the twos and ones. But a majority of the winners come from three. So you really got to consider the top teams. There's I actually, it's going to be an interesting count. I'm not 100% sure if there's only going to be one winner, to be honest.
Yeah, I've got that bit of a feeling too, Spide, that maybe it's going to be a very, very close season. Nick Dacos, we know he's a prolific vote getter, and I think you have to look at those players that do seem to get votes year on year, back it up, don't they, Spide?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, and we'll go through them, from, and I know you're going to read out, run the Palmer bet markets, but, when you look at it, I still believe that the player that's had the best year, he won't win the Brownlows, is Zach Butters. I reckon he's been the best player in the comp. Very closely by Wanganeen Miller, who come in towards the back end. But I don't think Dacos has had as good a year as last year. I think Bailey Smith's been very, very good towards the back of the year. He's really kind of faded. Noah Anderson's the other one that I think's been, outstanding. Jordan Dawson as well. So let's go through a few of the odds, and then we'll give our praise and let's see where we think they're going to head up.
Well, let's start off with the outright winner at Palmer Bet. Nick Dacos is the fave, $2.50. Got into his tight spot about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's about $1.90, so just drifting a little bit in the market. Bailey Smith at $5, second line of betting. He was out to $18 4 or 5 weeks ago. Jordan Dawson, $6.50. Noah Anderson, $7. Matty Rao, $13. Nasiah Wanganeen Malira, he's at $51. Tommy Green, 67. Caleb Sarong, 67. Huey McCluggage, $81. Each way value there for mine. Marcus Bonampelli, $101. Zach Butters, the bloke you just touched on, Spine, $151 to win the Brownlow along with Ed Richardson, Max Holmes.
He missed the first 6. So, when you go through them, Dacos, they've had 16 wins apiece. So, Dacos obviously going to poll really, really well. He did drift. I thought he was there. We spoke about it. He was way too short in the $1.75, $1.80 market, and then he's blown out a little bit. But will he always be a bridesmaid and never a bride? That's going to be the big question because, there's always somebody that stands up. I think he's polled 77 votes since he started. He's in the top 200 of all time, and he's only at the start of his career. So he can poll votes, absolutely poll votes. And then Bailey Smith, he was running favourite, and then he got injured, and he ended up having a lot more time off than we thought. So you sit there, and I think still Max Holmes is going to poll well in Geelong. And then you go to Noah Anderson. So Noah Anderson, Matt Rao. I think Noah Anderson mainly gets the threes, but Matt Rao will take a fair bit off him. They've had 15 wins, so they've still had enough wins. A lot of people are saying Noah Anderson, but then, captain of the footy club, and then you look at the captain of Adelaide, Jordan Dawson, who I think's had an outstanding year. They had 18 wins as well. Who's going to take the votes off him? Isaac Rankin will take a couple. Phil Thorpe will take a few as well. But outside of that, you think he's still going to poll pretty well. So, it's going to be so. Then you got Heaney. What about Heaney? His first few rounds, his first half a year for Sydney would have been no chance without Heaney. And Heaney will
play and kicks goals too, doesn't he? I think that's the important thing. If you're a midfielder that kicks goals, I reckon that goes massively in your favour, doesn't it?
Well, I think there was one game then when Heaney kicked it inside 52 Heaney. And he marked him goal. He was at that stage of it, but then Brody Grundy found form and started taking votes off him. So, it's going to be a really interesting count, but there's so many things you got to consider. But I still believe there's a lot of great value in top three, top fives.
Yeah, and Spy, that's what I was going to ask you because I reckon there's some plays, and for mine, I just had a quick look there earlier, and I thought, if I'm staking, like a few little plays for Monday night to sit back and have a look. I like Bailey Smith at $5. I just reckon he really started the season well, and he does come home hard, and there's a little bet at Palmer bet to be the leader after 10 rounds. So the Brownlow Medal
Oh,
leader, which I reckon Bailey Smith's,
absolutely.
I don't want to say the M word, but he's a $2.50 favourite. Jordan Dawson at $3, Nick Dacos at $8, Liberatore at $10. I reckon the 250. I reckon that's a play and that's a bet to be leading after round 10, Bailey Smith.
There's no better player. The only one who could get him early was Finn Callahan, but he would only need round three. Finn Callahan, the first couple of rounds, was on
Yeah.
fire and then, probably faded a little bit. So, I think Bailey Smith, first half of the year, was sensational. As you say, he was short price favourite halfway through the year. So now you can get those odds now to be leading at halftime. I think that's a great bet. And yeah, for me, when you look at the other options, I still think top 10 Zach Butters. I just always go to him. Like, he will poll every vote that Port Adelaide have because he was the only one who was consistently at the top of his game every time as well.
So just so Zach Butters, so to finish, they've only got a top five finish spot and a top
Yep.
20 finish in markets as we speak. And Zach Butters isn't in the top 20. Obviously he'd be too short. They think he's going to finish in the top 20, but he's $5 to finish in the top five. Zach Butters. So if you
Yeah.
do you reckon top five spot, or is there players that you think might be ahead of
Can
him and he's
Palmer
missed too
bet
many
give me?
games?
Look, I'd have a crack at top eight.
Yeah.
Top five, because top five is always, I think, is going to be Dacos, Bailey Smith, Noah Anderson, Jordan Dawson. There's four that will absolutely start in the top four.
And
So
then
you've only got room for one.
well, that top five market at Palmer Bet, Nick Dacos $1.05, Bailey Smith $1.15, Jordan Dawson $1.20, Noah Anderson $1.20, Matty Rowell $1.50, Caleb Sarong $4, Naz at $4, Tommy Green $4, Zach Butters 5, Hugh McCluggage at 8, Bontempelli at 8. I'm actually like I don't know whether Huey McCluggage can finish. I'd be confident on him finishing top 10. And it'd be a bit of a throw up the stumps. But at $8, I think you'd be happy to play around Hugh
Yeah,
McCluggage to finish maybe a top five as well.
I think he's had a better year than the Bond.
Definitely.
When you think about what he's been to the footy club, so hopefully he does. And if Hugh McCluggage had blonde hair and number 35 Collingwood jersey on, he'd probably be polling a lot better, a lot more because he's a freak. He does exactly what the team needs each and every week. So you know what? I reckon Hugh McCluggage, I'd nearly back him for top five. I'd have him in there.
I
For
don't
that, for
think
that
there's players that
value,
are going to take votes off him either this year as
nah.
much, like if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I reckon he's a bit of a play too. Now, Spide, you touched on before, you thinking that there might be a tie. Palmer bet have a special market for this, mate.
Oh, here we
Uh,
go.
so it's a simple no, there won't be a tie. That is $1.15. Yes, there will be a tie. $4.50, Spide.
What?
For a throw at the stumps, $4.50, that there'll be a tie.
What
Not a
about a
bad
three-way?
bet.
This could go three-way. I reckon it'll be a
Yes.
tie for sure. I honestly think, and look, I don't know how the AFL do it because they don't count the votes and they don't know, but they seem to read out the perfect vote on the last one of the night, and
I
then they
know.
seem to have two or three Brownlows in case it goes. But I reckon you'll have a dual Brownlow medalist this year, and I believe Dacos will be one of them. And it's just a matter if it's Noah Anderson, Jordan Dawson, or Bailey Smith, the other.
Yeah, I reckon $4.50. Sit back and just watch the count, and hopefully it's a tight one. It's as simple as that. Hey, leader after round six, so we touched on round 10. Leader after round six is interesting. This market's flipped on its head. Nick Dacos is the favourite at $2.80. Bailey Smith 350. Now, I don't know, Spy, but I reckon the first three rounds, I reckon Bailey Smith's I reckon he was nearly best on ground. I saw a couple of those games, and I
Yeah.
reckon he'll nearly get 3-3-3. So
Yeah. I'd be taking Bailey. Well, if he's leading at half, he's leading at round 6.
you would have thought,
I would have thought so. I would have thought Bailey definitely early. I didn't think Dacos got off to a cracking start. Um, so, and there's other players. The hardest thing with Bailey Smith really stood out in Geelong. Yeah, Jeremy Cameron kicked a few big bags, but a few of those big bags, Bailey wasn't playing either. So that kind of helps him.
yeah,
Max Holmes still hasn't got the headband, and Bailey Smith just stands out, and he has for what he does. So I'd be taking I think Bailey Smith at round 6.5 for sure.
round 6 and round 10, good value there for Bailey Smith. You can even multi those two up. What about the player to poll the most game, or play the poll in the most games? Bailey Smith's the favourite, $2.50. Nick Dacos, this is where you're getting some value spot, $3.75. Noah Anderson, $7. Tom Green, $8. Jordan Dawson, 10. Matty Rao, $10. And then out to Naz, $21. If you're if you think Dacos is going to get the job done, like I think surely he's going to poll in more games if he's going to win the Brownlow. I
Oh,
think
not really, because he gets a lot of
you think he's going
threes.
to get the threes.
Yeah, he gets the threes. He doesn't. He's either threes or zero for Dakes. That's just how he's always polled. So for me, I'd be going more. Yeah, Jordan Dawson, I think, is going to be the same. I'd be going either. I'd be going Noah Anderson nearly, because Noah
Yep.
Anderson and Matt Rowell are going to fight it out. They're the two keys for the Suns. So I think Noah's going to poll in a lot more games than, and yeah, actually my bet would be Noah Anderson. What's he at?
What, just to get the most poll in the most games?
Yeah.
Okay, mate, you're putting me under pressure. I'm just having a
Oh,
little bit of a look. Just having a
sorry
little.
about that.
I
I
did.
just didn't
I
want.
had. I had it up, and I've just. You wouldn't believe it. I've just
That's right,
taken
fella.
it.
I'd be
I've,
having a look. I think Dacos gets too many threes. Bailey Smith's he's all or nothing, and Noah Anderson is
seven
very good.
bucks.
$7.
Seven
So
bucks. That's how quick
him,
it is.
him or Hugh McCluggage. I still
Uh,
believe, like for value for money, those two could
well,
poll in the most.
34 bucks for Hugh McCluggage to poll in the most games. So that is a very, very nice price if you do like. And I do like you. I reckon he's my value play throughout this whole Brownlow medal. Spike, give us your top three, and give us then your other little bets that you're going to play around with outside what we've already spoken about.
Top three, and I reckon this could go three-way. I'm going to go. I'm going to go Jordan Dawson, Bailey Smith, and Dacos. No, no. I'm going to go Jordan Dawson, Noah Anderson, and Dacos. They're my top
Right.
three. I don't
So
think Bailey will get there. I think the others just played a little bit more footy than him. So I'm going to go those three. I think I'll definitely be having something on both Noah Anderson and McCluggage to have pole in the most games. I find that a real value bet, but I still will be backing Bailey Smith to absolutely be leading after round 6 and 10.
Yeah, I like it, mate. I'm going to stick each way play Hugh McCluggage at $81. He's just had a really sensational year, all Australian, of course, which I think is
Yeah.
brilliant. From Dacos, Bailey Smith. I reckon you're right. I reckon Bailey just missed too many games. If he had played those games, it might be that another 4 or 5 votes that kind of goes his way. And I think in this count you're going to need. Spot the other real talk. Like last year, obviously, Cripps polled the record amount of votes ever.
Yeah.
Do you reckon the umpires will they be looking at things a little bit differently because they come under a little bit of scrutiny last year, didn't they? Will they share it around a little bit more? Do you think this year maybe?
I think they will. I think all the speculation that's come up, and they've got to start reviewing things, and they get the stats now, and they get so many other avenues. I think what they needed is to understand what roles people play as well. Because somebody like a Sam Collins or somebody who plays a role defensively is never going to win a Brownlow because even though they're all Australian, they've done their job, they're just not given that given the Brownlow. So I I think you'll see it a lot wider than we expect. That's why it is so close. That's why a lot of people can't predict it right now because we actually don't know what the umpires are really going to be looking for. So, we know Nick Dacos stands out. Bailey Smith stands out. Noah Anderson, not really, but he's had a sensational year. So, really, it could come from anywhere. It will still be amongst the big midfielders, but at the same time, I I think there's going to be a couple of surprises come Brownlow night.
A couple of surprises on the Palmer Bet app too. I love it. They just got like specials in that spot. So there's different little things on here that you can have a little bit of a look at, and it's all about just gamble responsibly. And always think, is that the bet you really want to have? That is the messaging. But sit back and have a couple of bucks on a few things just to sit back and watch and enjoy throughout the night. One that I thought was really really interesting, Spide, and I'll be keen to get your thoughts. And it involves the Dacos brothers, and it is so. Just coming back to what you said too, Brownlow Medal to result in a four-way tie for first place, $101. That's a four-way tie. That is one in these special. A three-way tie, which you asked about earlier, $21
Yeah,
in a
that's
specials
me.
patch. That's you at a nice little price. Nick Dacos to break the record to poll 46 plus votes. I can't see that happening, Spide. $15. Nick Dacos to poll more votes than North Melbourne combined.
Oh, good bet.
$13.
Good bet.
Do you reckon he
Oh,
couldn't, Spide? You really reckon
absolutely.
that's a positive? Oh, I
Well,
could
but
not.
when they've won games, Sheasel's probably going to buy, and he's the only man. He had what 51 day. So they'll probably poll North Melbourne 15. How many wins did North? They only won.
No, they've got to poll more than 15 votes, mate. That'd be a record low. No,
I'm telling you. No,
there was
I
there was a lot of
at
close games.
14
West Coast.
at $14, that's worth a bet.
I tell you, I'm keen to get your thoughts on this because I reckon this is a silly price, and you can tell me to go jump, but I reckon this is crazy. So the Dacos brothers, Nick
Yep.
and Josh, to poll 46 plus votes. What odds do you reckon that'd be? So just combined to poll 46 plus.
Oh, gee, I reckon it'd be nearly.
What odds?
That'd be close
Sure,
to $1.90. It'd be short, like it'd be each way
$7.
to get
Se-
over.
$7 for Josh and Nick. Josh has had a good year. Don't worry about that. He's only got to get 10, and Nick has a 36 season. Geez, I reckon that
That's
$7. I
close.
reckon
Yeah,
part of it. I think it's actually a
that's
mistake, to be
yeah. It
honest.
is. It must be because you never like even when there's a 184 and a half points margin, whatever it is. That's only $1.89, $1.90. So I'd be $7. Josh
Seven
Dacos,
bucks.
he'll poll. Josh will get easy 10.
Oh, I reckon he will too, Spine. So, when you consider that they're thinking that Nick's going to be up in the 30s,
So
mid to high 30s.
Josh and Nick will outpoll North Melbourne and West Coast together.
Hard it out, mate. You're already not allowed in WA, all right? Fremantle or barge in there. West Coast are going to pay you on that comment. But go to the specials at the Palmer Bet app, and you will not be disappointed. There's some great things just to have a bit of fun with, I reckon. There's even you can bundle four of them up. So no ransom, Matt Roll, Tom Green, Caleb Sarong. One of those just to outright win the Brownlow, $5. Nick Dacos, Jordan Dawson, Bailey Smith, Noah Anderson to poll 120 votes between them, $5. Not a bad bet.
Ooh, that's good. That's averaging. What's that averaging? 30.
30 each. And remember, the winner's probably going to come out of one of those, possibly. It's going to add some.
Well, they're the four favourites, so you're going to be even going on last year. You're there. You're there within. You're there within three.
Yeah, 100%. So listen, download the Palmer Bet app, and you too can have a little bit of fun like we are. And
So,
and look,
rightio.
it's
Who's winning
exciting
it? Who
stuff.
do you reckon? What's your bet?
I'm having something. I'm going out of left field. I'm going Hugh McCluggage at $81 spot. There you go. And I'm gonna back him to finish top five. I'll back him to finish top 10. Bailey Smith to be leading after round 10 and round 6. I reckon they're both bets. And I'll see. And I'm gonna have something on the Dacos brothers 46 plus. I reckon $7 is silly. So that's the way I'm going, Spike. What about you?
Yeah, no, I'll definitely. I'm going for. I'll back for a tie and also a treble. I reckon it's going to be tied this year, or a treble. It's going to be so close. I'll be taking Dakes against North Melbourne. Absolutely. I love that, and absolutely Bailey Smith. And if I was to back one out, I'm going to go with Noah Anderson.
Yeah, righto. You're sticking at home, mate, and I
Yep.
don't blame you. And why wouldn't you? Hey, listen, as I said before, download that Palmer Bet app, get involved. Think, is that the bet you really want to have? Spied, win, lose, or draw, it's always a cracking night, the Brownlow. I hope that they can just speed it up ever so slightly this year. It just seems to drag on and on and on.
And just remember, it's about the guys. It's not about the girls, okay? It's not a fashion parade. They've already told us that, all right? So, no, we look forward to it. You know what I do like about Brownlow Night is the fact that there's two tables that have just come off Mad Monday. So they are absolutely cherry ripe, straight from Mad Monday to the Brownlow. So it's always fun waiting. And it's normally like, and depending who gets through to the grand final, that's who you don't want to be on the making the speech, because you can see, like a Cooney speech, it can go left of field if they've just had a couple of looseness.
Hey, inspired. I reckon the other thing that's always worth noting, how often do we see grand final teams with the Brownlow medalists running out the week after? You do see that quite a fair bit
Yeah.
over the journey. So you think about Bailey Smith still alive, Hugh
Dacos
McCluggage is still alive, the Dacos, or
Yeah.
Nick's still alive. So there is plenty of live chances to go into that grand final, that is for sure. Hey, big fella, you enjoy Brownlow night, mate, and looking forward to this preliminary final weekend too. It is going to be huge, and we'll talk more next week, buddy.
Absolutely. We go through our bets and find out who actually got the closest. Yeah, come on.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.